Hi everyone, my name is Sarah Bear-Eberhardt and I'm going to walk you through very quickly how to create a multi-select question for your test bank in Carmen. Start by logging into Carmen at carmen.osu.edu and select the course that you want to go in and create the test question. Next, go to Activities and click on Quizzes. Once you're in the quiz portion of Carmen, click on Question Library. We are going to create the question in the question library so that later when you set up your quizzes, you can create a randomized quiz to help reduce cheating in the online format. Click on Go to create your question and then select Multi-Select Question. This type of question is a little more difficult when you're setting it up in Carmen to get the point values correct, but I'm going to tell you an easier way to do this. First of all, start by typing in a title. You will want this even though Carmen tells you that it's optional, because when it comes time to select your question out of the question library or your test bank, you want to know what this particular question was about so you know whether to select it or not. Okay, I paused the video just for a second to enter in a title of the question that I'm going to create in just a minute. Next, I need to tell Carmen how many points this particular question will be worth. I can always go back and change the point value later, but for now we're going to make it a 5-point question. I can also choose the level of difficulty if I want to. If I'm not interested in including that, that's fine. But if later I want to create a randomized quiz with varying difficulty, I may want to do that as I create my questions. If you don't care, you can leave it as 1. Next, I need to create the test question, so I click in the box, and I will now type the test question in. Okay, so I paused the video just for a minute to be able to type in my question here, and I want to point a few things out to you. First of all, because this is a multi-select question, that means that the students can select more than one answer as being a correct answer. So I'm asking them, which of the following are? After the question, I have to include a little bit of a caveat here so that the students know what's at stake. First of all, I tell them, please choose all that are correct. And I may even want to add in all answers that are correct. Following that, I've explained to them that all of the correct selections must be made or they will receive 0 points for this question. And I will explain to you in just a little bit why I've said that. Next, I can add in a picture if I wanted to, and of course if I did, I would also want to include a description for students who may have a disability and cannot see the picture. Next, I need to tell Carmen how I want the possible answers enumerated. So I can select A, B, C, D, Roman numerals, or numbers. And then I can tell Carmen how I want the possible answers to be displayed. Do I want them vertically or horizontally? Now we're at the grading portion of this particular type of question. ODEE and Joni and I both recommend that you choose all or nothing for this type of a question. And I'll explain why in just a second. First of all, it's less confusing for you and it's less confusing for your students, though they may not think it's fair, but if they get even one of the options incorrect, then they get no points. So they must select all the correct answers as you told them to do in the question, or they get 0 points. Right minus wrong. This one has a way of making students think that they are being doubly punished for incorrect answers, and we strongly recommend that you do not use that option. The right answers option is a little less confusing, but it still can be problematic at some times. If, for example, you have given the students 5 possibilities of answers and only 3 of them are correct, and the student selected 2 is correct, that means that they're saying 2 are correct and 3 of them are not correct. Then this would give them some points for the correct ones that they did, but also deduct points for the ones that they did not. So again, it's a little confusing. I strongly recommend that you just do the all or nothing if you're going to choose a multi-select type of question. You can also randomize the order that the answers appear. I do recommend that as well, as this cuts down on the potential for students to cheat. Next, we move on to entering the correct answers and incorrect answers to populate in the list. So we can see that there's a note there in red that tells us that we must select at least one option as the correct answer, since this is an auto-graded type of question. So now what we need to do is we need to enter in the possible answers for the students to choose from. I'm going to pause the video just for a minute to do that. Okay, I've taken just a moment to enter in some possible choices for our students to choose from if I were to create this as a question. I need to now tell Carmen which ones are the correct answers. Just because I've entered in some possibilities for answers doesn't mean that Carmen knows which ones are right. So I need to go ahead and tell Carmen under the correct column. So I will check mark the ones that are correct. Now, I should leave some feedback, especially for the ones that are not correct, so that the students know why they're not correct and where they could find out the correct answers for that. Okay, so I paused the video just for a second to go ahead and go through and enter in some feedback for the students. You can see that I just gave them some very short feedback on the correct answers, but I did provide them a little more feedback in the incorrect answers. If they did select this as being a correct answer, they will see that this is not correct, and if they experience problems with either one of these two types of programs, that they need to contact the IT support at those places. All right, and then we can add in a hint for the question and additional feedback if we would like to. And if I am satisfied with this, I can click Save, and then I will see it populated in my question library. We can also see over here what type of question this was. I can see how many points I had assigned it and the level of difficulty. If you have any questions about multi-select questions for Carmen, please do not hesitate to contact me or Joni Tornwall for assistance. Thank you.